After the massive success that was Sonic the Hedgehog, it was pretty obvious that a sequel was in order. And 1 year later, we got just that. In 1992, the Blue Blur returned to continue his solo adventure to defeat Dr. Wait, who's this guy? So, just before the title screen, we learned that Sonic's new furry companion is nicknamed Tails, and his birth name is Miles Prower. How punny! I love it! Some time has passed since the events of Sonic 1, and Sonic spends his days hanging out with his animal friends. Among them is Tails, a two-tailed fox pup who thinks Sonic is the bee's knees. He sees Sonic running and rolling around at the speed of sound and mimics him. Soon afterwards, Sonic hears that Dr. Robotnik is up to his old tricks again and runs off to kick some Robotnik. And Tails tags along, because that second controller port was getting awfully dusty. This time around, Robotnik's got bigger plans than before. He's still kidnapping animals and turning them into robot slaves, but now he's constructing a massive warship to help him dominate the world. The I can't believe George Lucas never sued Sega death egg. As far as controls go, not much has changed from Sonic 1. D-pad to run and roll, A, B, and C to jump, all that good stuff. So let's take a look at what's new, starting with our new traveling partner Tails. When he dies, he comes back by flying in with his twin tails. Don't ask me how it's possible, I don't know either. The weirder thing is that in this game, it's just for show. There's no way to fly as you're playing with him. He's just a twin-tailed carbon copy of Sonic. While Tails controls exactly like Sonic, he did add two new features to the Sonic series: character selection and multiplayer. In the options menu, you can choose to play as Sonic, Tails, or Sonic and Tails. However, you're not taking turns like in Super Mario Bros., and it's not split screen. The camera always focuses on Sonic, so whoever's player 2 tends to get left in the dust. However, player 2 is very useful in boss fights because Tails can't die unless he drowns, falls down a pit, or gets crushed. And even then, his lives are limitless, meaning player 1 can kick back and relax while player 2 does their bidding.
Get a load of this!
But that's not all that's new. Oh no! Sonic's got a new addition to his moveset, one that would become a staple for the series. The Supersonic Spin Dash, or the Spin Dash for short. If you hold down on the D-pad and mash the A, B, or C buttons, Sonic will start spinning in place. Release the buttons and Sonic will fly off in the direction he was facing. The payoff is really exhilarating and is perfect for getting up steep slopes. The Spin Dash cancels any need to earn your momentum like in Sonic 1. This helps streamline the game and gives the player more choice in when they can move fast. I think this was a pretty wise move on Sonic Team's part. Having the game control when you can move fast in Sonic 1 was a great way to entice players to keep playing the game, but it was a bit irksome in stages like Marble and Labyrinth Zone. Giving us the power to move quickly whenever we wanted was a great way to one-up the mechanics of the first game. They had people hooked and wanted to keep things exciting. Special stages make a return, but entering them is a bit different this time around. You still need to collect 50 rings, but instead of keeping them until the end of the act, all you have to do is pass a checkpoint and jump to the sparkles that appear. Gone are the rotating acid trip mazes from Sonic 1. Now you have to run through a Technicolor half-pipe while collecting a certain number of rings to gain access to the next section. If you can manage that, then you're awarded a Chaos Emerald. I'll be completely honest here. I hate these special stages with the red-hot intensity of 1,000 Iblis worms. The bright colors make it difficult to see rings. There's no way to see rings or bombs when you're going around a bend, and Tails... Darn it, Tails! Open your eyes! Getting all 7 Chaos Emeralds, yes, they added another one, is an absolute chore. If you're playing with Sonic and Tails. If you're just playing as one of them, then the special stages get a bit easier, since Tails isn't ramming into every bomb he sees! They're still difficult and not much fun to go through, but they do infuriate me less that way. However, to compensate with their difficulty, you do get a lot of opportunities, and the reward is worth it. Collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, gather 50 rings, and jump into the air, and Sonic will transform into Super Sonic. While in his super form, Sonic is faster, can jump higher, and can only die if he drowns, falls down a bottomless pit, or gets crushed. The catch is that Sonic can only maintain his super form if he has rings, and he loses one for every second he's super. I rarely lose all of my rings in the middle of an act though, so it makes the remainder of the game much easier. That pretty much covers all of the new content, so let's break down the zones, which now only have 2 acts instead of 3. Emerald Hill Zone. It's just a brighter version of Green Hill Zone, but it does have these loop-de-loop things. Whee! Chemical Plant Zone. This water section is the stuff of nightmares. Seriously, when I was a kid, I had nightmares about drowning in an area like this. Thanks for the emotional scarring, Sega! Aquatic Ruin Zone. The greatest water level of all time, because you can completely skip all the water sections if you take the high road. Casino Night Zone. Are you feeling lucky? Because I'm sure not. Hilltop Zone. This zone gets a lot of flack for being boring and nothing special, but you know what? This is a personal favorite of mine. Yeah, it's easy, but I think it's a nice breather level. That palette swap does seem a little lazy, though. Mystic Cave Zone. You want some more nightmare fodder? Then try this zone on for size. Dark caves, a creepy tune, and the cruelest obstacle in Sonic history, known simply as the Pit. A deep pit with spikes at the bottom with no hope of escape until your rings run out. Ugh, why did I have to collect so many rings? Oil Ocean Zone. Pretty sure this was supposed to be an oil slick and Robotnik just went overboard. Metropolis Zone. The only zone in the game with 3 acts. And man, are they all torturous. The level design itself isn't horrible, I actually really like the look of it. But the enemy placement and the enemies themselves are despicable. Meet the triple threat of Metropolis Zone. Asterons, Shellcrackers, and Slicers. Asterons are fairly easy to avoid, but Shellcrackers and Slicers will send your rings flying every 15 seconds. Their reach is ridiculously long, and they're often placed so it's almost impossible to react fast enough to dodge their attacks. Urgh! Urgh! Oh, come on, I never even saw that coming. Ugh, these rings are making my ears bleed. Much better. Scar Chase Zone! One very slow act of taking out badniks while on a biplane. I'd say Sonic standing on a flying plane like that is awesome if this level weren't so monotonous. Wing Fortress Zone. Bottomless pits galore! And apparently the fire doesn't hurt you. Knowing that makes this level 1,000 times easier, but it took me 9 years to figure that out. Why would I think that the fire is harmless here when every other fire hazard I've come across has knocked my rings out of me? Not to mention it just goes against common sense. Death Egg Zone. Alright, time for the final hallway. No stage, no rings, just 2 bosses, Silver Sonic and the Death Egg Robot. Silver Sonic's attack patterns are pretty easy to memorize, but not having any rings adds a lot of tension. After 8 bops to the head, it's onward to... Really? You're telling me that there are 2 fat mustachioed men that can outrun Sonic? Yikes, Sonic, lay off the chili dogs for a while. Anyway, after that stunning display of athletic prowess, the battle between good and evil rages on. This boss is pretty infamous for being ridiculously hard, and it took me a long time to beat it the first time, but you know what? It was a piece of cake this time around. Yeah, it's actually really easy once you get the rhythm down. Run to the corner, wait for him to fly up, wait for him to come crashing down, then bop him on the head as soon as he lands. Lather, rinse, repeat. It's actually a bit mindless. After one last bop, the Death Egg Robot comes crashing down, taking the Death Egg with it. Sonic runs ahead of the explosion like an 80s action hero, and Tails catches him in the nick of time. While there are sections that make me want to rip my hair out, I'd still say Sonic 2 was a great game. It's much more difficult than Sonic 1, but most of the time it's the fair kind of difficulty. Minus Metropolis Zone. That entire zone is nothing but cheap difficulty. But despite that, Sonic 2 improved on the elements that made Sonic 1 fun, and omitted the elements that didn't quite work, just like a good sequel should. Plus, just from a graphical standpoint, this game looks much better than its predecessor. The environments are colorful, more detailed, and have interesting set pieces going for them. The music is also memorable. I don't know a single gamer that doesn't bang their head to Chemical Plant Zone. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was great, but the best is yet to come. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time for Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Have a fantastic day.